Okay, this is a lesson for the reef geckos on doing our plaster mask, which we're gonna start next week. First step, Vaseline. This is the most fun part.
It is.
Your partner is going to take a popsicle stick, dip it in the Vaseline. You don't need much. You need about the size of, say, like a nickel. See? Everyone see? We're smearing this all over my model Skylar's face because what it does is it prevents the plaster from sticking to any little hairs that you may have around your face or your eyelashes or your eyebrows. Here it comes, ready? So you can, I'm gonna zoom in. Sage, where are you going?
Feels like paint. Yes, I
You don't have to zoom in too
paint
much.
On the, hey.
What? Quickly. Now, I'm gonna let Skylar spread this around. She's gonna focus, look at me, she's gonna focus on her hairline and on her eyebrows and eyelashes. So you literally want to use a couple fingers to get it really close to your hairline, which I can help you with, and spread it out to make a thin layer. You don't want it to be too thick, and you don't want it to be like in chunks. You want it to spread all over. So you get it pretty close to your hairline, and you really want to focus on your eyebrows and get it on your eyelashes. And not that you have a mustache, but you know, we all have little hairs on our face, so you want to get it all over. You can put it on your lips, put it on, like just rub it straight down on your eyelashes, like get in there. Yep. All over. We don't want to miss any spots.
How's the Reef Gecko's gonna watch this whole thing?
They'll probably watch it on, like, I'm gonna email it to Miss Sandy.
Oh, okay.
Miss Sandy?
Caesar Castro is recording.
Recorded by Caesar Castro. All right, spread it around a little bit more.
I know your last name.
Everybody knows my last name.
Did you get it on your eyelashes?
Uh-huh.
Make sure you really kind of just rub it in. All right, so now her face is covered. Our first step is going to be introducing you to these plaster strips. So boys and girls, this is the stuff that they use to make like casts. If you break your hand or your arm, when you get a cast and it hardens, it's this material. It is non-toxic. But what we're gonna do first is make sure we check it so nobody's allergic. Can I please see your arm?
Yeah.
We're gonna do a test on her arm here. What I do is I take my plaster strip, I dip it in the water, and I kind of brush it on the sides to get any water off of it.
I'm only allergic to azithromycin, so that's okay.
To who?
Azithromycin.
Oh, I hope that's not in here.
Antibiotic.
Okay, I don't think that's in here.
Nope.
Can you zoom in on this? Do you see when I spread it around, it kind of covers up all those little spots. And it becomes almost like a clay kind of texture. Because when you look at the plaster strip, you can see through it. There's little holes in there. Once you get it wet and place it down and spread it, those holes should be covered. So when you're doing that on the face, you really shouldn't see any of these holes anymore. How's that feel on your wrist?
Feels cool.
It's kind of cold, right? Why don't you
Yeah.
blow on it and see what happens?
Well, it's kind of like weird feeling.
It starts to harden a little bit,
Yeah.
and it's a nice cool feeling. So it doesn't sting, it doesn't feel weird. It actually, once it's on your face, it's kind of like a massage or something. It's nice and cold. All right, now for the second step. We have tested out the strip, and it's not quite dry yet, but Skylar has felt it kind of harden a little. Skylar, tell the video and the reef geckos how it feels.
It feels cold, like a face mask. Like if you've ever done like a face mask, it kind of feels like when it's hardening.
All right, so now that she's not having a reaction, we can probably take this off just so that you're comfortable. And see, once it's removed, it's kind of like floppy, and a lot of that plaster came off. So once it's on you, you really don't want to take it off. All right, now for the real thing. So Skylar's going to turn towards me just a little bit, and we're going to start applying this to her face. Plaster strip, water, you dip it in both sides. You really don't want to leave it in the water too long. Are you focused in on here? Yeah. Then you're going to kind of scrape it along the side of this bucket. Every table is going to have a bucket of water. First step, I like to start on the forehead. Now you can kind of position it in a round shape. Notice if you can zoom in a little bit on her hairline, I'm not going all the way up to her hair. Some spots that got into her hair, you might want to pull it down a little bit, because if it gets stuck in there, it's gonna kind of rip it out when you take the mask off.
Ow.
So yeah, I'm kind of placing it on there and rubbing it in, and I went with the shape of her hairline. You always want to start on the outside of the face and work your way in. And you want to overlap a little every time you put it on. See how I overlapped onto there? And again, I'm going with the shape of her face. Everyone's hairline is a different shape. So not everyone's is gonna be the same. And I'm blending and spreading it on. So how's it feel, Skylar? A little bit cool?
Yeah.
It's kind of cold to your face. And what she's gonna wanna do is, especially once I start getting closer to her mouth and nose, she needs to not talk, not laugh, not make any facial expressions. So as weird and uncomfortable as it might be at first, you really wanna try not to laugh. Try not to make your partner laugh. As you can see, I'm following the lines of her face. Can you lift up? When I get to her chin, I'm not gonna go all the way under. Is everyone watching? Because it's gonna make it harder to pull it off. Can you guys see over there? Sort of. If you need to move, you can. So I'm just going to that round part of her chin. I'm not going all the way under, just to this round part. And it's really just like making a circle around her face. But with each strip I add, I'm overlapping. So they all kind of touch each other. You really don't need to work it too much. You don't need to spread it around too much. It's just placing it on. And see, I'm covering her eyebrow a little, and that's okay, because that is gonna get covered. And we're almost done with tracing her face. If you need to fold the strip a little bit, like if it's not bending along her hairline the way you want it to, you can fold it. Meaning, see how it's sticking out there a little? I can kind of fold it and then just press it on. And it really, once it gets wet, it really does work like clay. Now make sure that all her little hairs are out of there, like this one is stuck. Okay, sorry, I got it in your hair a little bit. This stuff does not stain, it's not permanent, it washes out with water, and it's non-toxic. So I've got her, if you want to look into the camera, I've got her face kind of traced. Now that we've got the first row or layer on, it's really important that she doesn't laugh. And I know that's hard. But once you start getting closer to the eyes and the mouth, which gets a little uncomfortable, not physically, but kind of like mentally, you might get a little claustrophobic or something. Close your eyes. Oh, there it goes. Once you get there, you want to start talking to your partner. So I would definitely kind of relax, maybe lean back a little and get comfortable, because we're going to start getting closer to your eyes now. Here it goes. We're laying it like this. So while you're putting this on your partner's face, you want to kind of explain to them what you're doing, especially when their eyes are closed. All right, Skylar, I'm getting closer to your mouth now. Very important that you don't laugh. You can give me thumbs up or thumbs down, or you can shake your head yes or no, but we're not talking. So I'm just kind of overlapping the round circle that I did around her hairline and getting closer and closer to the inner part of her face. And I'm working quickly because it does dry pretty fast. How's everyone doing over here? You guys getting it so far? As you can see, I'm dripping a little on the shirts that I have on her, which is why you want to wear next week something that you don't mind getting wet. Now I'm going to cover your mouth, okay? So I'm just explaining to her as I go, because you don't know what's happening. You're just sitting there watching.
Kind of like a mummy.
It's like a mummy.
It's Assassin's Creed mode.
What?
It's Assassin's Creed.
I'm getting closer to her features now. Working outside in. You're doing a great job, Skylar. It's really important that you tell your partner what a good job they're doing and make sure they're comfortable. You can ask them for a thumbs up every now and then. Are you comfortable?
I have a question.
Yes.
What if you have like a cut on your face?
It's non-toxic, but
Does it sting?
I don't think it would sting really. It's really a gentle material, and we'll talk about that after. Time for the nose. My tips for the nose are to go over horizontally like this. You will have scissors at your table, so you can cut these if the strips are too long, but you're going horizontally first. Then, if you need to cut it thin, you're gonna take your scissors, cut a small strip, about this thin, dip it in, and the only thing we don't wanna cover are the nostrils. Obviously, she needs to breathe. So you're gonna lay it down the long way and leave that hole open for her nostrils. So her mouth is closed, it's gone over her mouth, and I'm just filling in all those spots. The last thing you wanna do are the eyes. When you do your eyes, you do not wanna lay it down too hard because you don't wanna get this in her eyes. Let me just,
Would it hurt if you put it
all that's left, if you wanna zoom in, is just that little bit of nostril. So now I'm doing her eyes last. Skylar, here I go. I'm laying it very gently over. I'm not pushing it into her eyes. I'm kind of tapping it around. Wallace, everyone needs to see. If you do not want your eyes covered, we can find a way to add it after you've taken your mask off. The only thing is it won't be molded to your face completely. So, Skylar is doing an amazing job, and we already have 1 layer done. The masks need to be 2 to 3 layers. So if I feel it, I can feel that it's starting to harden a little bit where I did my first layer. She's doing a great job. We're gonna turn this off in a second, and I'm gonna put a second layer on, and then we'll talk. All right, are we good? Okay, so now I've done the second layer. As you can see, if you can zoom in a little on her, I've smoothed everything out as much as I can. So you can't really see the edges of the strips. There's very few spots that look like the little holes. It's all smoothed out, filled in. I did 2 layers over her nose as well. I put a thin strip going down, and she can breathe just fine because she's got 2 nostril holes. Skylar, can you give the camera a thumbs up if you're doing okay? All right. So once you are finished with your mask, what you're going to do is help your partner slowly stand. And you're going to guide your partner from behind like so. And you're going to use words. Skylar, we're coming out the door from the art room now. Thumbs up or thumbs down if you're doing okay. Oh, I'll take this. You don't need that. All right, you guys can come with us. And we are moving outside. Skylar, we're coming through the double door now. And we're gonna take a left. And we're gonna head out. So as I'm taking her outside, I'm guiding her along and telling her what we're doing. We're going by the garden now. All right, you can turn it off and we'll see you at our resting spot. Skylar, as you can see, is laying here. She's not gonna move her head so that it touches the ground. And your partners are going to make sure that there's no hair that got blown and stuck in here and that you're good to relax. I can feel that it's already starting to harden a little.
You can see it.
So she still does not want to move her face. Once you have your partner settled in and comfortable, either one or both of you are going to come into the art room and help clean up so that she can lay here peacefully, enjoy the breeze, let the sun kind of dry that out. And after about half an hour, or 20 minutes to half an hour, it'll be ready to take off. So get your partner comfortable and situated, then come back inside to help us clean up. And cut.
It's
And now, okay, here we go. All right, now we're ready to take the mask off. The mask is hard. She's been sitting here for about 20 minutes. So depending on how breezy the day is, you can feel it. It should feel kind of cool to the touch. And it's hardened around her face enough that I can tap on it and it doesn't feel like it's like sinking in at all. So now what we want to do is we want to start at the edges of her hairline. That's the only part that might hurt a little. If you got a little in the hair, it could pull it out a little. So I'm starting around the edges by just gently sticking my fingers underneath there. I'm not bending it at all. I'm trying my best to be very gentle. And you're just loosening it by slowly picking it up off the edges. You don't want to bend the mask. I'm doing it super gently. Skylar, if you feel comfortable enough to start putting your fingers under there and you want to start taking it off, you can go ahead. So you can do this together. Once you loosen the edges and it's out of your hair, it should just pop right off. In fact, I just felt it pop. It's like, Skylar, you okay? Give me, oh, there it is.
Whoa.
How do you feel?
I feel cool.
Do you feel okay?
Yeah.
So you can see there's
feel
a
like
little
a jelly man.
bit left on her face. Shh, guys, we're recording. There's a little bit left around the edge. So what she's gonna do now is wash her face with soap and water, and that'll take everything off, including the Vaseline. How do you feel? Was it like hard to breathe or anything in there? Be honest.
It
No?
was easy. I felt like I was sleeping, but then there was Vaseline in my mouth, and that did it.
Oh. And as you can see,
I can smile.
it's to the shape of her face.
Let me see the
Oh, wow.
See, we did our best not to get it. There's like no hair in this, maybe one little hair. Your last step is to be very gentle, to take a pencil and write your name on the forehead and on the inside, Skylar, so that next week we know who it belongs to. So it's to the shape of her face. Next week we'll trim the edges and sand it down, and it'll always fit to her face from when she was in 6th grade. All right, anything you'd like to say to the reef geckos, Skylar?
Hi, Reef Geckos.
About the mask?
It's fun. It's cool. It's like a face mask, but like it's like you're going into a pool, but you can still breathe.
Oh, okay, interesting. All right, say bye, everybody.
Audio.
Bye, everybody.